Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this episode of the New Talk for Moms of Black Boys. I'm DePelsha Magruder, founder of Mob United, and today is a very, very special day, and we're going to have a very, very special conversation. I'm very honored to welcome Valerie Castile.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Are we hearing a recording? I don't know why it's doing that. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
You can hear me? Okay. Let's hope that doesn't continue. I haven't had that happen before.
Mm.
Where's that coming from? Okay, hold on. I'm hearing it. Oh, I think I know what it is. So sorry. So sorry, audience. Technical difficulty. We're gonna get it together. Just bear with us. I'm doing tech on my own tonight, okay?
All right.
I think we're good. So, welcome. For those of you who have been following our organization for a while, you know that this is the 10th year of Mob United. And the reason it's the 10th year is that our organization was actually founded following the death of Philando Castile and Alton Sterling and Baton Rouge, who came before him. And so this year, when I thought about how I wanted to commemorate the organization, there's really only one conversation I wanted to have, and that was with you, Miss Castile, because it was um, your son's case that I think was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back. There have been cases before, time after time, we'd seen police killings with no accountability, but there was just something that was so heart wrenching about seeing his particular case that certainly broke my spirit and really galvanized people all over the country because as we've talked about, he did everything right. He was a law abiding citizen. He was working, he was serving his community, he complied, all the things they tell you to do, he did. And so we just want to take a moment before we get into this conversation to honor you because we felt it, but we know we couldn't have felt it anywhere near, what you felt in terms of the pain and trauma from what happened. And I just want to take a moment to honor you for who you are, for what you've done, for your courage, for your fortitude, for not giving up, for standing tall, for speaking up. I know it hasn't been easy. So we just honor you for surviving and for being here. And we're just so enamored and thrilled to be connected with you. It means a lot. It really means a lot to us to have a personal connection with you and to see all that you've been able to do to honor Philando's legacy. And that's what we want to focus on tonight. So thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure.
Yes. And I want to start by saying, one, I'm glad we figured out the echo situation because that was driving me nuts. But I want to start by saying that today is a very, very, very special day because it would have been Philando's 43rd birthday.
Yes,
And I'm just so honored that you agreed to talk to us on this day. I think it's so meaningful because what I love about how you've approached your mission is that you haven't dwelled on his death. You chose to honor his life. All that you do honors his life and who he was and lifts that up for the world to see. And I think that's just so beautiful and says so much about your spirit. So I just want to start by asking you to tell us about Philando. What was your son like?
Philando was a very special person. Uh, I can remember going to the clinic and them telling me that I could not have children.
Hmm.
So when I got pregnant several years later, I just really wanted to tell the doctor, you need to take care of your child because you told me a fib. I got a whole baby here.
Oh wow! So it was a complete surprise.
Oh yeah, oh
Oh
yeah.
wow! Okay.
Man, that was something, to be told that you can't bear and then you bear. It was
Yes.
really special for me. And he was just the most beautiful little thing you ever want to set your eyes on. And
Mm.
he grew up to be a extraordinary human being. You know,
Mm.
what I mean, he loved school. He never gave me any problems during his school years. I never had to go to school and defend his behavior or he was failing something. He was an average
Mm.
student. He wasn't the smartest one, but he kept up with the pace.
Right.
Um, he just was a wonderful individual, and he started working when he was 13 years old. I remember when he
Really?
came to me and said he wanted a pair of Jordan sneakers, and I asked
Mhm.
him how much were they, and they were $100 back then too. You know,
Yeah, they've been $100 for a
like,
long time.
boy,
I don't know what they are now.
I said, if you done lost your mind, I don't have no $100 to put on your feet. That's because when you get done wearing them, you can't eat them. I said, what we can do is go ahead. You get you a
Okay.
job, and anything you want, I will go half with you. So that was our arrangement as far as him growing up and being independent and becoming a man. You know, if you want things, you have to go about getting them the right way, and
Mhm.
you have to work. Mama can't take care of you. You're a
Yeah.
man now. You're beginning to be a man. You want things that I can't pay for. So, but what I can do is give you that. So that's
Yeah.
the way our relationship was, going
And
half
what was
with
his
him.
first job at 13?
Oh yeah, girl, you had to get up and go get a job, baby. No, 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 no. I mean, it's certain things you have to groom your children. You know, your children ain't gonna do nothing if you don't
Mhm.
emphasize that. You know, you need to learn how to work and be independent. So you want these things. They have programs at school. You know, you can work during the summertime. So
Mhm.
I
Okay.
went and I took him, and we signed up, and he was hired.
Mhm.
So
Wow.
yeah, and it was odd. It was different because it was supposed to be a summer program, right?
Mhm.
So he had, did his term or whatnot, and then I rolled back a little place. What they did, they fixed little small engine machinery, and they repaired broken bikes and gave them back to the kids in the community after they fixed them. So I passed by there, and it was still some children that didn't look like him,
Mhm.
still working. Must have went up in there and said, what's going on? You still have children working. Why was my son dismissed? I said he lived right down the street. He can come and work. And I said, well, I'm gonna check on that, and that's what I did. And I kicked up a fuss. Yes, I did, because his grades were good. He lived right down the street. It wouldn't have been a problem him getting there. And I felt
Right.
like he needed to work. He needs to continue to work. He's gotten used to having his own little money. I didn't take nothing from him, but I did, but I put it aside for him.
Yes.
I
Yes.
didn't need his money. You know what I'm saying? I made him give me something so he could get into the habit of giving, and paying his way. But I kept it for him until he really needed something, of a larger amount. So yeah, he was just a great kid, and he, liked his own money and doing his own thing, and he had a lot of things that the other kids didn't have because he was working and he could get these things.
Mm.
But when he graduated high school, um, that's when he started working for the St. Paul Public School in the nutrition department, and he
Mhm.
worked there for a while. uh, no, first he worked at, I think, Targets, but I'm gonna back up a little bit too, because when he, no, I'm on the right track. Guys, excuse me. I'm thinking so fast because I wanted to tell you so much about him. I
Yes.
started
Yes.
thinking and going a
Take
little
your
fast,
time.
but
Take your
he,
time.
he started working for the school system after he had been through Target and Blockbuster. That
Mhm.
but he was like 19 then,
Wow.
and he started working for a entity that had great benefits. Because there's
Mhm.
something, I asked him, did he want to go to college? He said no. I said, well, you need to find somewhere that you like, where it won't seem like work, and they have benefits. So he found the public schools and started working there, and he became a supervisor, and he was working at J.J. Hill Montessori School when he was murdered.
Mm.
Um, he knew all those children's names. He knew their allergies. He got
Wow.
there early enough to help get those children off the bus and on the bus, end of day. But yeah, he was loved by those children, and they called him Mr. Bill. I remember after he was murdered, this young guy, we had we were able to acquire an exhibition um, in his honor as well. And a young boy was talking about him. He was crying and stuff like that. And he said Mr. Field helped him make his first friend when he was transferred to that school. He helped
Oh,
him
wow.
make friends. So
That's beautiful. So
that
he had a
touched my
real
heart.
heart for the children. He wasn't just working in the cafeteria doing his day to day job. He really connected with them
Mhm.
and poured into them in a different way.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
definitely did, and that definitely warmed my heart, because I could visualize him coming over to his table and taking his tray and sitting him with the other boys and having them introduce themselves and then becoming friends. I can
Hmm.
actually visualize that. But he was just a phenomenal individual that loved those children, and he did whatever he could do for them. And he also, helped them out when they didn't have money to pay for their
Hmm.
breakfast or lunch. He would pay for it himself. I found that out after he was murdered because he never came home and said, "Yeah, I
Mm.
did this, I did that." He wasn't that type of person. He just
Right.
had a good heart, and he wanted to make sure those children had the best nutrition they could have, because we don't know family dynamics. We don't know if those two meals were the only meals they had per day. And he
Hmm.
wanted to make sure that they had what they needed.
That is so beautiful. And we're going to talk more about that later when we talk about how you've carried that legacy forward. I want to back up a little bit because you shared with me earlier that you're not originally from Minnesota, you're from St. Louis, and you decided many years ago to move your family to Minnesota. Can you tell me about that journey and why you made that choice?
Yeah, my father and a couple of my siblings, they had moved up here like in the late '60s, early '70s, and I would come back and forth and visit in the summer, and I just noticed the way they lived up here. It was totally different than the environment that I came from. If there were no vacant and boarded up houses here, there were no stray dogs and cats. And at that time in 1986, the police were barely visible. You didn't see
Mm-hmm.
police very often up here. But I also had gotten some information while we were living in St. Louis that the average lifespan for a black man in St. Louis was 25 years of age. And that scared me. I was like, oh
25.
my God, 25, and then I'm seeing things, you know what I'm saying? I'm seeing stuff happening. So I decided to move up here to Minnesota to give my son a better life, and
Mm-hmm.
he could explore different options here because of the educational system, and even the welfare system was decent up here. Um, it was just, a different environment, and giving him uh, the opportunity to outlive that statistic.
Yes, and you were happy with your decision, right? When you got there, it was what you thought it would be.
Oh, absolutely. At that time, it was a great place to live and a wonderful place to, um, you know, your kids to grow up.
Mm-hmm.
It was really nice. I just didn't expect for it to go left, but I don't know how we got to that point or why. But yeah, I think I made a really good choice. He got the advantage that he needed. He
Mm-hmm.
outlived the 25 years. So yeah.
Yes. 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 That's wonderful. Um, so I don't want to dwell on this, but we have to talk about what happened 10 years ago on July 6th. You made it. You moved to Minnesota. You're living a good life. He's living a good life. He's doing well. And then there's this traffic stop. Tell us about how you found out what happened that day and how you survived it. How did you navigate that moment?
Well, you know, we always come back to St. Louis all the time. So we had went down for the 4th of July, and he said he had some other things to do and he couldn't come. So
Mm-hmm.
when we got back on the 5th, we were just resting up, and the next day he came over because his birthday is today, July the 16th. So
Yeah.
on the 6th, he came over to the house. You know, we had just gotten back. He knew we were resting and things like that. So he just came over. He wanted to use the car to go get his hair done because his birthday is coming up. So he left, and my daughter had called him and asked him to bring her some Taco Bills, and he said, "No, I'm not bringing you nothing." But when he came back, he had her Taco Bell. So
Okay.
they were sitting there, they were sitting there eating, and she asked him, "Did he see that mess?" You know, she said she, with Alton Sterling. And he said, "Nah, man, I ain't watched that. You know that's not good. You know." And before he left, I got up out the bed and I hugged him and gave him a kiss. And I said, "You know, your mama love you." That's what I always say to him when I
Yes.
see him. I embrace him and kiss him on the cheek, and he go wiping it off. But he left, and I laid back down and went back to sleep. And I heard my daughter. My daughter came in the room. She was screaming and hollering, just saying, "Oh, my brother dying, my brother dying. He on Facebook, he dying." And I looked at her. I had immediately jumped up and I said, "What did you say?" She said, "My brother is dying. He's on live stream. He's dying." So I grabbed the keys and I kept saying, "Where he at? Where he at?" And she couldn't really answer me, but I knew he was in St. Paul. I lived in Robbinsdale, so I jumped in the car. I ran practically every light, not knowing where I'm going. And then somebody said Falcon Heights, and I said, "I know exactly where he at." And
Mm-hmm.
God got me there. You know, it was the weirdest thing because I could feel the life coming
Mm-hmm.
out of my son. You know, how you give when you give birth, you have these contractions. My
Mm-hmm.
womb was crying. You know, I was hurting so bad, and it was like I got to get somebody to get over there because I don't want my son to die bad still.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just the most heartbreaking thing to be in that situation, knowing and feeling life draining out of you, but it's somebody else. But you have that connection and that relationship that you can actually feel the life coming out of a person,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And we got there and we were treated so horribly. You know, I was asking them, could I talk to the girlfriend? But she was still there in the police car. And they was like, "No." And I was like, "Well, where's my son?" And then they told me he was in Hennepin in downtown Minneapolis. And I said, "Why would y'all take him all the way to Minneapolis? You got Regents Hospital not 4 miles from here, you
Mm-hmm.
know." So I got back in the car, me and my daughter, and we went over to the hospital. and they didn't let me see him. In my mind, I was like, "This some bullshit." You know, I want to
Absolutely.
identify my son.
Right. They're treating you like you did something wrong.
Yeah, yeah. know, and then she said, that lady said, we'll identify him by his fingerprint. I wanted to knock her out. How you gonna say so now you're stereotyping my son because he's black. He got fingerprints on file.
Mm. Oh, wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Now what if he didn't have his fingerprints on file? Then what?
Hmm.
And you done told me I can't identify him. So yeah, that was another thing. It was just that we were just treated so poorly. They could have had a little bit more compassion for us. They put us all out of the hospital and told the people, told the boys they had to use the bathroom outside. Who tells somebody something like that?
Are you serious?
Swear to God, swear to God.
That's just inhumane.
Yeah, they did a lot of different training at that hospital as well.
Mm.
Because all black folks ain't hood, so to speak. Everybody ain't gangster.
Right.
Everybody is not into crime. You understand? So that's the way they was treating us like we were criminals.
Mm. I'm so sorry you had to go through that on top of everything you're already going through.
Yeah, yeah. It was a big mess, and people showed up and they protested, and they weren't pleased with that at all.
Mm-hmm. Mm. You told me when we talked before that initially you blamed yourself for his death. Can you talk about that and how you were able to get why you felt that way first of all? Because obviously it
Yeah,
was not your fault. You initially felt that
I
way, and then how you were able to get past that.
as I was saying, I had always told my kids, if it's something that you want, you have to go about it the right way. If if
Mm-hmm.
if you want something and there's rules that go with it, you have to follow the rules. If there's having a weapon, you
Right.
have to have a permit to carry that weapon. It has to be licensed. So they both got license to carry. My daughter has license to carry. She has a weapon as well. You know, so it was just one of them things. I wanted to speak to whoever make these rules, because of the way that this guy shot my son. It didn't make sense to me because you outside the court, you got earning opportunity. He
Right.
in the car with his seatbelt on. Where he
Right.
gonna go? Where he
Mm.
gonna run? Where he gonna hide? You outside the car, you got earn opportunity. You could
Mm-hmm.
you could duck behind and run behind the car like you do when the white folks do something. You run. You understand what I'm saying?
We've
But
all
but there is this difference. You value that white life, but you don't value that black life.
mm,
He could have did something totally different instead of shooting my son 5 times. And then you shot in a close quarters where bullets hit things and they ricochet and could hit somebody else that ain't got nothing to do with nothing.
right. And there was a 4-year-old girl in the car as well, right? His girlfriend's
Absolutely.
daughter.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So reckless in so many ways. And so I believe you said you told him that he should follow the rules and disclose that he had a weapon. So
Yes.
he's over complying, right? And this
Yes.
still happened. And that, I think that was the thing that just really like broke so many people's heart because we're all taught, right? We're all taught to teach our sons to comply. Like if you just do what they say, if you just follow the rules, you follow directions, you listen to the officer, you comply, everything will be okay. That's what they tell us. Like they do police trainings in communities all around the country, and that's the message. And he did everything that you're supposed to do, and this still happened. And especially when you think about how much this country uplifts gun ownership, legal
Yeah.
gun ownership, the Second Amendment rights. That's something that's held so sacred by so many people in this country, but yet when he has a gun, suddenly he's immediately assumed to be a threat, even though he's disclosed he's a legal gun owner. So I,
Yeah, I had always told him, when people in the car with you and you have your weapon, let the officer know that you have the weapon and everything be cool. I mean, if somebody told me they had a gun and I don't see it, that's just knowledge. You know what I'm
mm,
saying? This is to compromise with you and make you feel comfortable. Okay,
right,
I do have a weapon. You know what I'm saying? You don't see it. It ain't
right,
like,
which I'm legally allowed to have.
but then who if I mean to do you harm, I'm not gonna tell you I have a weapon. I'm gonna up it and
Exactly.
I'm gonna fire off.
Mm-hmm.
If I mean to do you harm.
Yeah, you're not making announcements first,
Yeah,
right?
that's an idiot. That's a straight up idiot. To say, "Oh, I got a gun. Wait a minute, let me get it, and I'm gonna shoot you with it."
Especially when the other person has a gun. You know, the other person has a
Yeah,
gun too. So
yeah,
it's,
it's ridiculous. The whole thing was a charade. It was just to appease the people. They
mm-hmm.
knew they weren't gonna convict that man. It was too many fingers on that scale of justice. They weren't gonna do that. They
Yeah.
weren't gonna prosecute him, and they knew that from the get go. My heavenly Father had told me, you know, uh, you can hope for the best, but prepare yourself. Just
Mm-hmm.
be prepared, you know, and
Mm-hmm.
that's what happened.
And how were you able to get past that? I'm sure that must have been incredibly disappointing, to say the least, frustrating, angering. Like how did you manage your emotions and psychological state when, especially when the officer wasn't convicted?
Well, I have a lot of faith. I'm deep into my faith. I believe in our Lord and Savior, and I just believe and trust in Him so much, and he did me a solid. He took all that hurt and pain and spread it all across this globe because my
Mm-hmm.
Father know I couldn't bear that on my own. You
Mm-hmm.
know, you cried for my son. That helped me out. You understand what I'm saying? He
Yes, ma'am.
he he gave he everybody felt that where I wasn't alone and I didn't feel it and carry that by myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I thank God all the time for giving me that grace. You
Yeah.
know, my Lord know I couldn't handle that by myself and he spreaded that hurt around the globe.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. So many people were crying with you. And
Yes,
so
ma'am.
much happened as a result, and including our organization. So I want to shift to what you've been doing since then because you've been busy. So you channeled your pain and started to do a number of things. I'll let you talk about them, but there have been legislative efforts. There have been efforts around police training. You've started a foundation. You created a peace garden. You have a vigil. There's so many things. So just tell me like what you've been doing and how you decided what you were going to do.
Well, in my mind, you know, uh, somebody makes these decisions. Somebody makes these rules. So I need to talk to whoever making the rules. I need to
Mm-hmm.
talk to who's ever in charge. I'm that person. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to the head. I don't want to hear nothing from nobody. I'm not taking no for an answer. You need to tell me what's going on. You need to explain that mess to me. because I'm not understanding it, and I can't rest not understanding it. So from the beginning, when they was talking about, oh, his training, then Governor Dayton gave the police department 12 extra $1 million to help with training.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's been uh, going on since 2018. That's been happening, and it's gone down in funds. It's 6 million now, but anything beats a blank. Long as they didn't terminate it all together, because those police, they need to have their training, so you can't keep using that excuse. You
Yes.
know,
And
if you
what kind of
paying all this,
training?
pardon me.
What kind of training did they give them as a result of
Well,
this?
it's the same thing. It's de-escalation,
Mm-hmm.
crisis intervention, and explicit bias.
Yes. Those are all the things that we started advocating for as a result of this.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what they're offering now with the police reform, that type training. Um, the Peace Garden, people start coming over there where Philando was murdered, and just laying flowers on the ground and stuff like that, and just sitting on the dirt, just crying, and just having their moment. And I really wanted to make them comfortable. So um, a lady, her name Sue Garrett, she had called me one day, and she was like, "What happened to the monument, the permanent monument?" I said, "I don't know." I said, "They talked about that." I said, "But nobody said anything else about it." She said,
Mm-hmm.
"Well, we'll see about that." So we had a peace garden due
Mm-hmm.
to her efforts.
Mm-hmm.
She kicked it off when she said, "We'll see about that." She started moving around and going and talking to people and stuff like that. So we got that done, and that's a place of healing, of self reflecting, of individual thinking, and a place where you can contemplate. There's some beautiful Antiqua symbols over there, and I asked people which one of the symbols uh, do you feel closeness with, and why? You know,
Mm-hmm.
because it's just so much spirit up in there. There's life up in there. There's bees and butterflies and ants, and it's a living place. The spirit over there is so strong. It's got life in it, even though it was such a tragedy that happened in that space. We
That's beautiful.
maintained it so that it's a place of peace and healing.
That's beautiful.
We let's see, uh,
Well, you also focused on school lunch, which was something that was important to him in his daily life. Tell us about that
yeah.
initiative.
Um, we ran a campaign. This professor had started this campaign, Philando Feeds the Children.
Mm-hmm.
So we raised, I should say, her and her students raised quite a bit of money that we were able to pay down their lunch bill significantly. And I took it over, and I'm gonna tell you, we paid Robbinsdale High School $8,000. We donated $8,000 for the senior class.
Mm-hmm.
The seniors couldn't participate in any of those activities that they worked so hard for, and I just couldn't believe that.
If they owed money for lunch, they couldn't
Yeah,
participate in activities. Oh my
yep,
goodness!
yeah. Didn't believe it. Didn't I ain't know
Wow.
nothing about none of this stuff I'm talking about. When Philando was murdered, all kind of stuff started surfacing. I'm gonna back up a little bit. Even uh, how they were treated in the lunchrooms. Food
Mm-hmm.
being thrown away right in their face because they can't pay
Mm-mm.
for it.
No.
Wearing some kind of banner or a sign that's kids is mean. You know they
Mm-hmm.
can look at you as you eat something different. So yeah, your family poor. You know what I'm saying? And it was that why Representative Ilhan Omar and Senator Tina Smith drafted the No Shame at School Act.
Mm-hmm.
and that was approved federally as well as state. So that was an accomplishment. I stood with Representative Ilhan Omar on the Capitol Hill when that bill was presented,
And what
and
did that enable? The No Shame at School Act.
huh?
I said, what did that enable in schools?
Well, it made it, it stopped those people that work in the cafeteria from doing those things.
Mm-hmm.
Don't throw the food away in their face like that. Don't make them wear signs or some kind of bracelet that
It singled
you're
them
supposed to
out.
get
Yeah.
something different because
Oh,
you have
wow.
this bracelet on. So that enabled them to bring that hardship on those children like that. Cause them
Mm-hmm.
kids, they ain't got no business. They don't know nothing about what their parents doing, and you putting children in grown folks' business.
Mm-hmm.
That's for the parents. You don't traumatize kids because of something that their parents can't do.
Absolutely. And I also read that Minnesota became only the fourth state to offer free breakfast and lunch. Was that also a part of this advocacy?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
And I speak my piece and I try to keep it 100. You know, when I donated that $8,000, the superintendent he pulled me to the side. He said, "Miss Castile, you don't know what you just did." I was looking at him like, "I ain't do that. What you talking about?" He didn't break it down. I started thinking about it when I got home because he had said, "Never in the history has a black woman paid for food for white kids."
Mm.
And I was like, okay, I can kind of see that now that he
Mm-hmm.
said that, and I thought about it once I got home. He said, never in the history has a black woman
Mm-hmm.
paid for white kids' food. And I think they was thinking the same thing. They was like, well, we're going to just give free lunch because she need to go somewhere and sit down.
Well, if that's what it took, then so be
Yeah,
it.
so be it.
That's
Long as they
amazing.
get it,
That's
baby. My
amazing.
job doing, honey. But a lot of people advocated for that as well. And so many people with those concerns because, how you gonna learn and your stomach is
Mm,
growling? I mean, we as adults, we have to go and get our coffee every morning. Don't you think kids need to eat every morning in order
right.
for them to retain information?
That's amazing. And yes, a lot of people advocated, but you and Philando, his heart for children was the spark that got people to advocate. So you should feel very, very proud about that.
Yeah, yeah, he was an advocate, didn't even know it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I want to ask you, what are you most proud of, and what has disappointed you most throughout this experience?
Well, what I'm most proud of is being able to participate and advocate for those kids to have free lunch and breakfast because at
Mm-hmm.
some point these kids are going to leave this country and they have to be competitive. If you're not on top of your game and got the right skills and education, you're not going to be competitive. You're
Mm-hmm.
not going to get that good job, you know, or you're not going to be able to get that entrepreneurship going if you
Yes.
don't have your credentials. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely proud of that because that right there, just those meals is giving these kids it's uplifting them because you're able to acquire the information and get credentials or skills in order to survive out in this world.
Yes, absolutely. Nutrition is foundational to your
Oh,
success,
absolutely.
growth, and development.
Yeah.
Yes. And what are you most disappointed about? I think I know the answer, but
I, you, you don't need no crystal ball to know that I am very disappointed that this guy did not get convicted.
mm-hmm.
He was acquitted and got away scot free. Uh, and got paid a bounty. He got paid for killing my baby. But
Mm,
that whole court thing, it just rubbed me the wrong way because nobody had that fight and they weren't fighting for my kids. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying? They were there in the court, but they weren't fighting the way
Right.
his lawyers was fighting for
For
him.
him.
They
Yes.
were them lawyers was yelling and screaming and literally jumping up and down. They were fighting so hard for this guy.
Mm,
But I already knew the good Lord told me just be expecting that he was gonna get off.
yeah.
But yeah, it's been a challenge, the whole thing. And like you said, I've done a lot, and it's people like you and people that tell me, Miss Castile, you're doing a great job. We're so proud of you. That give me that energy. I get energized behind that. If it wasn't for community uplifting me, I wouldn't be able to continue doing the things that I do.
Yes.
I mean, it's just that the easiest thing that I could have done was to do nothing, to just
Mm-hmm.
say, hey, my son is dead, life goes on. But that's not what God had intends for me. You
Yes.
know, we all have a purpose and a mission in life, but you got to try to figure that out. And sometimes it may be hardship that's associated with you uh, figuring out your purpose and your meaning and your mission. It may be hardship associated with it, but you got to, look into it and see what good can come out of this horrible situation.
Mm-hmm.
My son had purpose and a mission, and I just picked up where he left off. I love my son. Today, his birthday, he would have been 43 years old. I don't have no grandchildren by him. You know,
Mm-hmm.
uh, we'll never see him live up to his full potential as a black man because he was already, rising. Who knows? He might have figured something else out in his life and changed direction and start doing something else, you
Mm-hmm.
know. But we'll never know about that, and that's heartbreaking within itself, not being able to have some little ones of him. But my other
Yeah.
grandkids, they have little ways of 'em. Each one of them has a little thing that I look at and will think about him because they are a derivative of him as well.
Yes, that's true. Yes, I saw the little cutie pie earlier, the 1 year old.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. I know we're short on time. I want to ask you a question from the audience and combine it with my question. That I want to give you an opportunity to tell us how we can support you and the foundation because we are here to support you and we'll be here. So the question from the audience: after dealing with the system and this tragedy, what advice do you have for other mothers? And I'm going to add to that because I think for the past 2 weeks, everyone's been talking about the Nolan Wells case in Mississippi, the young man who went out on a boat with his friends and didn't return home. And there's a lot of speculation about what might have happened. We don't know, so I don't want to speculate on that. But just knowing that family is hurting, like what would you say to the Wells family right now? And then what advice would you give to other mothers raising Black sons in America?
I want the Wells family to know that my heart goes out to them and that unfortunately you're not alone. We had travesty after travesty, but God is watching over you and your son is watching over you and they know that you guys gonna do the right things. But when we talk about today's climate, you can teach your kids all the basic things they need to survive in this world, but you don't know who they may run into.
Mm-hmm.
Our kids have to learn how to look at things objective and subjectively. When you're in a group with a lot of kids, you have to learn how to not be so trusting. These may be your friends, but when you see them pairing off in groups and whispering, or when you come in the room, everybody stop talking. That's when you
Mm-hmm.
need to get on your phone and call somebody and say, yeah, well, I'm around blah, blah, blah. I don't feel safe, or I'm getting a bad vibe from these people right now, and try to
Mm-hmm.
get yourself out of that situation. Move around, leave that situation, because everybody ain't your friend. And unfortunately, we're seeing that more often than we want to understand, how you can have a friend and a friend dislike you from a distance. You think they your friends, but they plotting on you. you know. See,
Mm-hmm.
me coming up in the environment that I came in, I'm always on guard, friend or foe. I'm
Yeah.
watching.
You
I
were
got the
ready, right?
third eye right here.
Yeah.
No, 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 no. But that was just the environment that I came up in. You understand? See,
Mm-hmm.
but when you in a different environment, you might be a little bit more relaxed. But just pay attention to your surrounding, and learn how to read people, their body language, and watch the eyes. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
That's real. That body language and that type of behavior, you
Mm-hmm.
can really figure people out, just how they move, how they sit, and the shifting of the eyes and the whispering and stuff like that. And my heart really goes out to you guys, and I'm gonna constantly keep you in my prayers, and I hope everybody that's watching this pray for them as well, because the truth will come out. I don't care how many lawyers you got, the truth gonna surface. What
Mm-hmm.
you do in the dark will come to the light. It may not be right away, but it's gonna come to the light. And I hope and pray that one of them will have a heart and a conscience and tell the truth. Just gonna spill it. It ain't gonna do nothing but lighten you, because you carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders right now. And I just want them to know it's okay. You know,
Yes.
tell the truth.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. I want to tell people how they can first celebrate Philando's birthday. You sent me some information that we can all join in honoring his life and legacy. You can call, I'm going to type the number here. You can call this number. Hold on. Let me see. Okay, so yes, so you can call this number to send a birthday message for Philando, 612-404-1864. You can also visit 1800happybirthday.com. So I'm going to type that as well. And tell me why you decided to do this. And have you done this every year, or is this just this year?
Actually, that was started by Worthless Studios up there in New York.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
wonderful.
It's a phone booth program. It's a
Okay.
phone booth exhibition, and it was done through Worthless Studios up there, and it was successful, and they moving that exhibition around. But every year they'll send the phone number and post it, and continue to have that legacy part and honoring our kids that's been killed by gun violence.
Oh, wow. That's wonderful. So I want to encourage everyone to call and leave a message, go to the website, and also tell us how we can support the foundation.
You can visit the Philando Castile Relief Foundation. No, PhilandoCastileFoundation.com. We had
Okay.
to shorten it. It was too long,
Too
all that.
long. Yeah.
But PhilandoCastileFoundation.com. All the information is on there, how to support us, listed on the website. So please visit the website. It's got some wonderful information on there, and a lot of the things that we've done. We have the candlelight vigil on July the 6th, and on July the 7th, we have the Unity community get together right on Falcon Heights lawn, and there's pictures of that as well. We have entertainment and food, face painting, activities for the children. Just a wonderful time, just sitting together, empower one another, and getting to know other people that don't look like us. It's just a wonderful thing to see. and be a part of. And we just want people to resonate with one another. We have fallen so far, it's like when I was coming up, we spoke to people, people, there's something that Philando used to say. You just talk to anybody. We like, what you got on some cute shoes,
Wow.
but he be
Okay, you're
like,
one of those people. I'm from the South. I don't like all the chit chat, but it is. It helps connect us. You're right.
yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I love it. I'm a people person, so I like communicating with people, but it's
Mhm.
just so much hostility these days, and it's like we're at war with one another, and I think we need a little bit more love in our hearts because this is not looking good. Not
Amen.
to me, it's not, and
Amen.
it's just weird. We just in a really bad space. I call it a spiritual war, good and evil, right and
Mm,
wrong, and we just have to kind of dust ourselves up and pick ourselves up and do for one another what we can. Because
mm.
it's a lot of people out here that don't have, and I just want to make things a little bit brighter for other folks. Because
That is
we give away turkeys around Thanksgiving, and we to adopt a family for Christmas because
mm,
a lot of the kids that's been murdered, they left dependent children behind, and somebody got to take care of them kids. So
mhm.
we do what we can for them. We look back, go back, and continue to support them.
Yes. That's beautiful. You have a beautiful heart, and I felt so blessed I got a chance to meet you in person a few years ago in DC with Lisa
Yeah,
on tonight. And as I as I said, you give the best hugs. So if you ever get to meet Mama Castile, as we call her, make sure you get a hug because I felt the love, I felt your spirit, and I hope to get to experience it again when we meet again.
yeah.
But
Yes,
I just
ma'am.
thank you so much
Absolutely.
for who you are, for all that you do, for being here with us. And I know you're about to journey to St. Louis tomorrow, so maybe we can just close by you sharing like why that's important. Well, why it was important for you to bury him in St. Louis, and kind of what you do every year to honor his memory there.
Yeah, I felt like it was important to take him back where it began. That's his birthplace. So I did
Mm-hmm.
not want to bury his body here because like I said, I'm a spiritual type woman. I know the body dies and the spirit lives. But I just did not want him here. I wanted him with his grandmother and his uncles and aunties and stuff like that. We have
Yes.
several people buried in the same cemetery.
Mm,
So I love going down there just to pay homage to him and just be there with that body because he's with me right now. You know what I'm
mm,
saying? All over there, all over here. All this artwork that I have in my home, he's here with me. And I just love going down there to commemorate him with family that can't come here.
mm.
We do our thing on the 6th and the 7th, but then I'd like to celebrate his birthday where he's born.
Yes. Yes. Well, we wish you all the best on your journey, and we are here with you in spirit. And if you need us to roll up physically, we can do that too. So
Okay,
just a heads
now,
up. Yeah,
don't play.
right. Yes, seriously. But we appreciate you. We love you so much, and just wish you all the best. Just keep doing what you're doing, and
Yes, ma'am.
may God continue to bless you and your efforts. I remember one thing you said that will stick with me when we talked before. You said you don't have a vision, you have a mission.
Yes,
I know
ma'am.
I said that was the last question, but can you just tell me what you meant by that?
Well, it's a mission because it was ordered by God. So that's a mission. I'm on a mission from God. You hear what I say? And I
Yes.
think that's why everything that I do has been successful.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Because he's
it's
directing
not
your
me.
steps. He's
It's not
ordering your
me.
steps.
I'm playing follow the leader.
Yes.
I ain't doing nothing. I'm just a human form that's moving. You understand what I'm
Yes.
saying? It's the spirits is working through me. And it's my mission to complete what's told to me,
Mm-hmm.
if that makes sense to you,
It
because it
absolutely
makes
does.
sense to me.
It
So that's
absolutely
all that matters. But yeah, I'm on a mission from God, baby, and it's unstoppable.
does. Mm-hmm. Amen. We're gonna leave it right there. And that's a word. Everybody, but figure out your mission.
Yes, ma'am.
Be
We
not led
all
by
have
your
one. Just
understanding.
got to figure it out and put it
Mm-hmm.
in motion.
Yes. Well, thank you so much. We're gonna say
Thank
good
you
night.
for
Thank
having
you
me.
everyone for joining. And everyone who's watching, please share this. It's going to continue to live on our platform. So please share this conversation with other people who will also be blessed. Good night.
Thank you. Peace out. Love and peace.
Yes.